Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the What's Going Down podcast. This is week 2 of our Royal Rumble discussion. If you tuned in last week, and you should have, you caught week 1, where we went through the 1988 Royal Rumble through 2005. Today, we are going to run through a little bit more. But first, I am, of course, your host, Big Time Jimmy Larson, and of course, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. CT Bishop.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing today? Yes, we're gonna do another discussion. All right.
We are indeed going to do another discussion, but first, why don't you tell the lovely people where else they can find you?
All right, the best way you can find me is if you go to Sway Skits. That's right, Sway Skits, where I do my funny comedy skits and I make you laugh one way or the other. Or you can reach me and see me at Tuesday Night Tussle. That's right, Tuesday Night Tussle. That is where I take fights that people put on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever online. I add commentary and make them look stupid for recording it and putting it online. That's right. And if you check out the archives, you get to see myself as well as Big Time Jimmy Larson doing some really cool skits on Tuesday Night Tussle. That's right. That is, oh my goodness. Oh, and if you're on Facebook and you want to see my skits, I'm also on Facebook. All of that stuff is in the links below. All that cool stuff is in the links below, especially the Tuesday Night Tussle, Toy Skits, all of that cool stuff is in the links below.
And also in the description below, you can check out my other channel, the Big Time Jimmy Larson channel, where you can see at the Time Out at the Arcade. For now, there's just one episode up. There will be more coming. Season 1 of At the Movies is complete. There were 19 episodes. Season 2 will begin. We will let that cat out of the bag next week, right here on the podcast. So make sure that you tune into that. And where can the lovely people contact us?
All right, if you have a Discord, if you're part of Discord, you want to join our Discord server, you can contact us on our Discord server. That is right, everybody. Discord. Our invitation link is in the description box below. If you have Twitter, you want to contact me on Twitter, look me up at RevMercado. That's at REVMERCADO. If you want to email us at whatsgoingdowntoday@gmail.com. No, it's not what's going down tomorrow, but what's going down today at gmail.com. Also, as I mentioned earlier, when it came down to Facebook, guess what? What's Going Down also has a Facebook. So if you want to contact us on our Facebook, you can contact us on our Facebook. Feel free. If you have any ideas that you want to run by us, you want to discuss anything, you have a question, or you want to have a really cool date with Big Time Jimmy Larson, contact us on those methods, and we'll be sure to get back to you.
He keeps throwing that one in there. Anyway, as I said last week, we went through the 1988 through 2005 Royal Rumbles. All the great highlights of those shows were covered, and you could go back and check that out. And I recommend that you do. You don't necessarily have to check it out before you check out this one, but you would at least be in on the knowledge. But we are going to start today from 2006 all the way until 2020. The quick recap, in case you are not watching that one. The Royal Rumble, of course, is a yearly traditional show created by the late, great Pat Patterson, where every year the Royal Rumble match has been the most unpredictable match of the year. And for the last few years, we have had 2 Rumble matches in one night, as there is now a men's and women's match. Traditionally, it is 30 men, 30 women that will start in the match as a battle royal. Every 2 minutes, another participant enters after 2 people start. They draw intervals 1 through 30 to determine their order of entry. And it is, like I said, most exciting match because you never know who's coming out next, and you don't know who's going to win the match. Did I cover that well?
Yes, you did.
All right, so beginning now with 2006, as I did last week, we are going to go over to commentary teams. Dude, these commentary teams are getting crazy, and they're even going to get crazier as we go on. Because now we have got many new commentary teams. Because for Raw in 2006, we have Jerry the King Lawler, Joey Styles for Raw, Michael Cole and Taz for SmackDown. So we are now at 4 commentators thus far. This show is actually not that good as far as the overall show goes. So we're gonna skip right into the Royal Rumble match to start. Triple H drew number 1 this year, and of course Rey Mysterio number 2. As we said in 05, where Eddie Guerrero and Ric Flair had a backstage segment, and I said it was going to cause a trend where the first 2 guys to draw in the back would have 1 in 30. That's exactly what happened here, as we saw Randy Orton and Triple H go to draw their numbers, and Triple H opens his number and says to Orton, "Read it and weep." And then he gets this shocked look, and Randy Orton just tells him, "Oh man, you're screwed." And then he goes, "I'll see you out there." Or maybe not. But of course, this year would be completely tainted because in late 2005, we saw the tragic death of Eddie Guerrero, and WWE decided to run a very tasteless storyline with Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio, where Rey Mysterio basically embodied Eddie Guerrero's soul and spirit. And Eddie Guerrero basically would go into this Royal Rumble in the body of Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio would come out, of course, wearing the Eddie Guerrero tribute shirt and even driving the car as Eddie would, the lowrider. And then he would leave the shirt on the hood, and Rey would go in and break a record, which still stands as the longest time in a Royal Rumble match. Again, as I said last week, we are not counting the greatest Royal Rumble. It is not included in these lists. It doesn't exist, in my opinion. And it's definitely not canon, even if you do think it existed. But Rey Mysterio, 62 minutes in this match, and it is the record. But and he would win this match. Randy Orton, of course, as I said, he drew number 30. This Rumble was kind of weird, to say the least. I mean, we had guys like Tatanka in this Rumble. Road Warrior Animal was in this Rumble. There was some really bad elimination spots. We talked about some of those last week, like the Rock Don Morocco and the Big Boss Man. This one had 2 really major ones that stood out. One of them being Road War Animal, who was supposed to go over the top, it seemed, after taking a spin kick from Van Dam, but it didn't quite knock him over the top. So they went for a clothesline spot, and that didn't get him over either. So finally, 2 guys just came over and literally lifted his legs and dumped him over. So it looked pretty bad. The other one was one from Goldust. He took a spot. I don't remember who even hit him, but he was lost in the ring. If you remember WrestleMania 2's Battle Royal, when Jim Neidhart took the big boot from Andre and couldn't find the rope, this was worse than that. Goldust literally starts heading to one rope, then turns around, heads to the other, and jumps over the top rope. And even the people in the front row lifted their arms as if, what was that?
That was definitely a WTF moment.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Rob Van Dam and Rey Mysterio had a nice little team up during this match. And as I said, Ray lasting as long as he did. This was also the first time I ever got to see Bobby Lashley. And I admit, in this match, they made Lashley look like a beast that would be ruined just literally not long after this. But at this point, it looked to me even like Bobby Lashley was going to be a future star, and that just didn't happen.
Fortunately.
Anything to add to this Rumble match?
No, to be honest with you, I think you told us. I remember. I remember this in '06. I was watching this with my grandfather, and even my grandfather, my late grandfather, even though even he was like in Spanish, he was saying WTF, what the heck is wrong with this guy? It was too funny. And as I said before in other podcasts, my grandfather, he was definitely all kayfabe. To him it was real, and even he had to like kind of take a step back and be like, WTF, what is going on? It was just like, it really looked like Goldust was milking it, and it was too funny.
It looked like he did not want to be in this match as well.
Yeah,
He had
exactly.
that look on his face the whole time he was in there, and then
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like, get me out of here.
yeah. But and at the same time, as as he didn't, he had that look like he didn't want to be there. It was kind of like, you know what? Since I don't want to be here, I'm gonna make WWE look bad for putting me in here in the first.
Well, I will say one thing in his defense.
Uh-huh.
At the time of his elimination, this ring was full.
Yeah.
This was actually the record. I think it still may be. I can't remember if it was broken,
Mhm.
but it was definitely a record at the time of most guys in the ring at one time in a Royal Rumble match, and it was at that point. So there really wasn't a lot of room to work with in the ring.
No, that's true. That's definitely true.
So I will give him that as far as being lost. There was also a spot with Chavo Guerrero trying to emulate Eddie, which I felt okay. They're already doing that with Ray, so now Chavo's going to do it. Does the Three Amigos, goes up to try and hit the frog splash, but Triple H pushes him off the top, which is another issue I always had. I want to know your take on this.
Oh man.
It happened in '97 as well. To me, if you go through the ropes to the apron and climb the top rope from the apron
Mhm.
and get pushed off the top, you didn't quite go over the top rope.
No, I definitely gotta agree. I mean, there's okay. I'm gonna kind of go back a bit as far as the situation where they had it where uh like Eddie took over the body of Rey Mysterio. They should have done that with Chavo, because
Yeah, I agree with that, but no, I'm just talking about the
but
rope
but
spot.
but but the rope spot in but then going into the rope spot, it's and I get it, and it's I gotta agree with you that if you go through the ropes, then from the outside you climb to the top, and then that shouldn't be counted as an elimination because you didn't
When
actually.
97 Mil Mascaras climbed through the ropes,
Yeah,
climbed the top rope, and leaped off the top to the floor, and it was considered an elimination.
yeah. I mean, it's like you said last week. It's kind of like they're making their own rules every year.
Yeah, they constantly change the rules of the Royal Rumble
Yeah,
whenever it's convenient, and it
it's one
does
of
get
those.
annoying.
It does, and especially in this kind of a spot again. You know, you're not you didn't officially go over the top rope. Now I can understand if Ray was in the ring and then he jumps, he does like kind of like a leapfrog up to the top rope and then he gets thrown over, that type of thing, like he gets pushed over. Okay, I can go with that. I can, logically go with
Right, if he
that.
leaps up to the top rope from inside the
Yeah.
ring,
Yeah, but
even if he climbs the turnbuckles from inside the ring,
exactly, exactly,
because then he's
exactly.
still going up and over.
Exactly, but in the way that they pulled it off, no, it's not an elimination in my opinion.
By the way, this would be the start of Shawn Michaels eliminating Shelton Benjamin, which became kind of a run-on joke in Royal Rumbles for the next few years.
Right.
Every year, Shawn would just eliminate Shelton with a super kick.
Yeah.
It happened like 4 different years, and this was the first time.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, speaking of rules changing,
Yep.
Shane McMahon is the one who eliminated Shawn Michaels, and he wasn't in this match.
Oh, and that's another thing. That is another thing. Okay, it's like, okay, in the beginning, like you were saying last week, it was like a no holds barred type of thing where if you go, anybody can go in and eliminate whoever, blah blah blah. But they should have the established rules that you would have to be in the actual match in order to eliminate somebody. But like you said, they change the rules constantly for their own
Well, in
convenience.
'88, the rules was actually if you go over the top rope, you're eliminated.
Yep.
And that is actually an explanation of the Don Morocco incident when
Of
he went over the
course.
top, but he landed on the apron and leaped off.
Yeah.
The referees, I went back and watched, the referees even tell him, you have to come down now, you're out. And that's why Morocco leaped off the apron, because he was out.
Yeah.
And Jesse Ventura on commentary even said, it doesn't matter what happens. If you go over that top rope, you're gone.
Yep. Exactly.
And then the year after was when they established the feet rule. And that's when Jesse Ventura then changed it on commentary to, you're not eliminated until both feet touch that ground.
Yeah, it's one.
Which we're about to be getting soon into some of the craziness with that rule. We'd already seen it in 95 with Shawn Michaels, 1 foot touched, and we're going to see it a little bit more as we go along here in the list.
Let's put it this way. As far as that is concerned, when it came to Shawn Michaels with that 1 foot, you know what I mean? I preferred seeing that than what we ended up seeing later on in the years.
Yeah, and we're gonna get there. I know exactly where you're going, because it's the one I'm thinking of.
Exactly. That's why I didn't want to say it by name. You
know, we'll get there.
Right.
So after the Rumble match, it was not the main event again. We had 2 more matches. We first had John Cena versus Edge. Now, I'll admit, John Cena had a cool entrance. It was weird and didn't make any sense. The whole spaceship coming down.
Yeah, that one it made no sense to me at all.
It was weird, but it was cool.
Yeah.
And Joey Styles trying to play it off as the coolest thing he'd ever seen in the history of wrestling was like, wow. You could tell Vince was feeding him that line. But no, this match was wrong on every level. They pulled the trigger, like literally, it was a few weeks earlier that they did the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view or New Year's Resolution, whatever pay-per-view it was. I forget what they called it.
Yeah, I think it was Revolution.
It was Revolution?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was Resolution or Revolution. But anyway, they did the Elimination Chamber match. It was perfectly done. The opportunist Edge comes out and cashes in right after Cena went through a brutal match. He's bloodied and battered. Edge beats him, wins the title. And now you start this huge reign. And they had... Now, here's granted the funny thing on this, though. Edge always took credit that he was the #1 watch champion because the ratings were so high on Raw. Okay. But keep in mind that was also the live sex celebration with Lita.
Yeah,
so true. A lot of people, they didn't tune in to see Edge. They tuned in hoping to catch a glimpse of Lita.
Well, you know, I mean, for you know, people paying attention, and you can see a bunch of stuff on YouTube. They actually caught a few
yeah, I know, but my point is that's why people tuned in. They didn't tune in because Edge won the title.
Oh no, I'll be the first one to admit I definitely did not catch it because Edge won the title. I caught it to see, you know, Lita.
But I was excited to see Edge as champion. I thought this is something different. This is what we need. And now here we are just a few weeks later, and they put the title back on John Cena and push Edge into the background.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, Edge, this isn't Royal Rumble, so I'll just make it quick. In my opinion, Edge stole the show at WrestleMania 22 as far as the men's matches go with Mick Foley. And John Cena and Triple H had a great match, but it did not steal the show. The show stealer of the night, let's face it, was Trish and Mickey James. But then Edge and Foley would be second, and then Cena and Triple H would be in third. So, yeah, WrestleMania 22 was a good WrestleMania, by the way. Yeah. It gets overlooked a lot, and it's also where my theme song, too, came from. But, yeah, then we get another match after this, and there was a reason for it, but, man, it just fell off to have Mark Henry versus The Undertaker in a casket match. I think, no, actually, it wasn't even Mark Henry and The Undertaker. It was Mark Henry and Kurt Angle in a regular match, and that was the main event. And I thought, why is this the main event? Yeah. And it was the main event so that Undertaker could break the ring.
Yeah, and I believe Mark Henry was with Daivari at the.
I don't remember, but I do remember the lightning bolt coming down and the ring exploding with Kurt Angle in the ring, and Taz. On live TV, it's hilarious, but it's edited out of it was edited out of a replay later in the night, even. So I remember watching a replay, hoping to catch it again, and it was edited out. Yeah. But Taz literally didn't know that was coming. He just goes, "Holy And then he
Yeah.
says the S word
Yeah.
on live pay-per-view.
Holy
And it's
beep.
just really, and then they bleeped it after he said the word. So
Yeah.
the word got in because the censor wasn't ready for it.
Yep.
It was funny.
I remember that.
But yeah, that was the 2006 Royal Rumble, and we spent a lot of time on that. So let's move on to '07. New commentary team. We now have Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross for Raw. We have JBL and Michael Cole for SmackDown, and we have Taz and Joey Styles for ECW. So we have 6 commentators on this show. Like I said, they're going up.
Yep.
We open with Eminem versus the Hardys in a rematch from their December to Dismember match where the Hardys broke Joey Mercury's face. So Mercury has a face mask on. This is a good match.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great opening match. Eminem and the Hardys, anytime you put these guys in the ring together, they always drew money and they always drew a good show, a good match. So it was like old school ECW Matthews in York, who and really Morrison at the time was Nitro. He just was like the new Christian York,
Yep.
and they really put on the same kind of matches that Matthews and York used to do.
Oh, definitely.
And throwing the Hardys in the mix, I could see this match being an ECW match.
Oh, definitely. I agree.
And then we got one of the many matches that John Cena gets overlooked for. John Cena had a great last man standing match with Umaga. Mm-hmm. It was something different. They took apart the ring and used the rope and to strangle Umaga so that he was out for the last man standing. And that was definitely something different that we'd never seen before.
No, I agree. I agree. Especially for a John Cena match. People they like to talk crap about John Cena, but he definitely he earned his stripes. He earned his stripes in WWE, and this match, people overlook it, but I added on to one of the reasons why he's really a good wrestler. The fact that it was something different. It was something different where they took apart the ring, and I mean, it was just something to me that it stands the test of time. That's just my
Yeah, and I
opinion.
wasn't even upset with Cena winning because of the way that he did.
Oh, I agree.
I didn't think it killed Omaga's push. I think Omaga's push was intact until WrestleMania, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But no, Umaga was really on the rise as this big star. I loved Alejandro Estrada as his manager and the Sumerian Bulldozer. I thought, man, they're really going to get this guy over. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, WrestleMania killed that. But again, we're not going to go into that. But
I thought.
Yeah, no, this did not kill his push.
I was gonna say, I thought what really killed his push was when Rigo would call him Umanga.
See, that was funny stuff, though. I didn't mind that. Backstage segments. We got some good ones here and some really weird ones. Let's start with the weird since it was the first one. First guy to draw a number that we see anyway on television is Ric Flair. Mm-hmm. And of course, like I said, going back into what they've trended now since 05 and now 06 and now 07, Ric Flair, the first guy to draws number 1. So I guess it was on top. Right. But we don't see a guy come in for 30, and we'll get into that in a minute why. But Ric Flair draws his number and then woos and then spins around. The lights go out, a strobe disco light goes on, and the ECW exhibitionists show up and start dancing with Flair. And then he looks into the camera and gives another woo. What the heck did I just watch?
I don't know. I was
and I love that he's wooing number 1 when just 2 years prior he thought it was terrible to get one when Eddie switched with him.
Yep.
But then we get some more great backstage segments. Khali comes in to pick his number. He picks out 3 of those little balls with one hand just to show off how big his hand is. And they're like, Teddy Long's like, hey, Blad, you only got 1 of those. So he throws 2 of them on the floor and then walks away with his. Kelly picks up the other 2 and goes, Blad, these are the biggest balls I've ever held.
And
Good stuff there.
Kelly, you know, she's beautiful, and the fact that
Hornswoggle
yeah,
comes in, starts spinning the wheel over and over again like a madman.
yep.
They tell him to stop, and then they give him a number which he picked out for Finley, not for himself.
Mhm.
So Sandman comes in last. There's 2 balls left. Well, actually, Sandman came in. Actually, Ric Flair was not the first guy to draw. I'm sorry. I just remembered now. No, when Sandman came in, there was 2 balls left. Sandman came in and picked out his number. He didn't actually take one. He just picked one out. He didn't open it. He threw it down and said, like it matters. And then he chugs his beer and smacks himself in the head with a Cinnapore cane and walks away.
Yep.
And then Ric Flair got the last number in there. So it was actually the last number out that was number 1. But Sandman saying like it matters. I've always wondered with this, even that night. Is he saying like it matters because if he's gonna go in the Rumble, he's gonna win no matter what number he has? Or is he throwing out more of a like it matters because this is all a joke and who cares?
You know what? I think personally is definitely kind of like it feels like it was a joke, you know, because
Yeah, I always felt that way, but then other people they threw that out there. Well, maybe he means because it doesn't matter. I'm like, I don't know though, based on his tone, like he's upset.
well, I mean,
And then
I got to
based
go
on his
back.
performance,
I got to go back to when ECW. I got to go back, you know, for a minute to when ECW uh made a comeback through under the WWE brand. And I remember hearing some of the originals that they were asked to be part of it. They were telling me that it was just a joke. It was just a joke. And and a lot of the guys that were in, they were just there for the paycheck type of thing because, they knew it wasn't going to be the original ECW. I think it was definitely one of those of like it matters because this is all a joke because you
why
know.
not? Jason Knight did the first 2 one night stand shows,
Mhm.
and I heard how he showed up to the ECW sci-fi taping,
Mhm.
saw the zombie, and walked out.
Yeah, I heard the same thing. I definitely heard the
He
same
didn't even
thing.
want to be there. Like,
Yeah.
it's not worth the paycheck anymore. I'm out.
No, yeah, but
And he walked out of
yeah,
there.
he wasn't the only one. There were quite a few that they felt the same way. Like I remember hearing an interview with Jason and he said that, but he wasn't the only one. There were quite a few and that I personally spoke to and they told me the exact same thing. So I would think that the Sandman, he had that attitude like, what, like it really matters. That's what
But
it
yeah,
sounded
this
like.
would be the only Rumble to have a whole bunch of ECW originals in it.
Mhm.
Sandman, when he does finally come out, comes through the crowd, spits his beer all over the fans, by the way, which they did not look happy, and security did not look happy either.
Mhm.
So Sandman's definitely out of place with this audience because the ECW crowd would have been cheering and loving every minute of it. These fans wanted to lynch the man.
Yep.
But he gets in the ring and they start talking about on commentary. JBL's like, well, Steve Austin drank a lot of beer and he became a world champion. So let's see what the Sandman can do. And Sandman gets thrown over the top and he goes, see, that's the difference right there. Anybody can drink a beer, but nobody can be like Steve Austin. And it's just so fun. Sandman, by the way, does a funny sell when he goes over the top. He does a whole bunch of rolls, like he's rolling. I don't even know, like he's playing roly poly or
Yeah,
something.
right.
He does like 20 rolls on the freaking floor. I don't know what was up with that, but yeah. So Ric Flair has number 1 in this match. Finley number 2. Nice little start there for WCW feud reunited.
Mhm.
Sabu comes out and sets up a table. Kane comes out and chokeslams Sabu over the top through that table. Sabu has the record, the only man in history to ever go through a table to be eliminated. It's something different.
Yeah, it is.
uh Undertaker is the man who got number 30. This is the 3rd time in Rumble history that the Undertaker has drawn number 30.
Mhm.
And it proves that 3rd time's the charm as the Undertaker wins with number 30. And he's the first guy to ever win the Royal Rumble with number 30. We are 20 Rumbles in. This is the 20th Royal Rumble match, and finally somebody with number 30 has won. Yet they always try to act like number 30 is the number you wanted. but it took
Exactly.
20 years before somebody finally won with the
Right.
uh the final two in this match is Undertaker and Shawn Michaels,
Mm-hmm.
which at the time it was cool because these guys literally went 12 to 15 minutes, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
as the final two with nobody going out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, man, who's gonna go out? Who's going out? But man, rewatching this, it is brutal because you know already who's winning, and it's just like, all right, guys, end it. This same mistake would happen again in 2012 with Chris Jericho and Sheamus, but we'll get there in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just like I don't like the long drawn out endings to these things like that. It's cool at the time live because you don't know who's gonna win, but then in rewatchability, it kills it.
Definitely,
I don't know
definitely.
how you feel about that.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. Especially, I mean, it's like you see them in the ring, you see them in the ring, and they're giving a clinic. They're giving a clinic. Period. But by this point in time that Taker's gonna win, so you're like, when you're rewatching it, you're like, even when you're watching it live, you kind of know, and you're like, come on, guys, take it home, come on, time to just get this done and over with. You know, I think if maybe there was like like a third person in there, a third person in there, like let's say like I don't know, like let's say CM Punk, right? An up and coming CM Punk. If he was in there with Taker and Michaels, it
This,
could have
by
been
the way,
interesting.
was CM Punk's first ever Royal Rumble.
Right? No, but it's like if you have like CM Punk, right? CM Punk, Taker, and Michaels. You got the young, hungry, upcomer with two vets in there. You would want to cheer for CM Punk, even though you're a big Taker or Michaels fan, but you want to cheer for CM Punk. Be like, come on, you could do it, you could do it. Then he gets eliminated, and then it'll be like, okay, well, who's really gonna win it now? Even though you kind
I
of
know
have.
one of the things too with this was these guys were laying on the mat, like resting.
Mm-hmm.
It
No, definitely no.
was like showing their fatigue, but it's like, okay, so we're literally just sitting here watching you sleep, which would become Taker's later matches. Everybody praises the matches he had with Triple H at WrestleMania 27 and then 28.
Mm-hmm.
To me, those matches are so boring. They're literally sleeping for half the matches.
Exactly. It's like they literally have like 10-minute rest spots throughout the whole match. Both
Yeah,
of
it's terrible. I don't care for it at all. But let's move on to 2008. This is a really good show.
them.
Uh, Madison Square Garden hosting the Royal Rumble for the first time since 2000, which was also a good show.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Commentary team. We got Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross again for Raw. We now have the coach and Michael Cole for SmackDown, and Taz and Joey Styles again for ECW. Kicking off, we get into again, we are in New York City. A little bit of history here. The New York Giants had won the conference championships. They are 1 week away from going to the Super Bowl to go up against the New England Patriots,
Mm-hmm.
which they would win, by the way. Santino is a heel, and they're doing this stupid stuff with Maria wanting to pose for Playboy, and Santino's dating her and doesn't want her. He comes out, New York City is booing him already, and he tells Ashley Mazzaro, rest in peace, she passed away last year, took her own life. Or not last year, actually, it was
Yep.
2019.
Yep.
But she comes out trying to talk Maria in the Playboy, and Santino comes out and says, "Nobody wants to see Maria in Playboy," and the whole people are booing their heads off. And Santino starts saying, "All you New Yorkers," and he's bad mouthing the New Yorkers, saying how you all don't have any good sports teams, even Knicks, Rangers, chokers, and he's just bad mouthing all the way down the line. And then the people start chanting, "Let's go Giants."
Yep.
So Santino throws out the line, "The only thing that you people do have to cheer for is a football team from New Jersey." And then he starts throwing out the names like Eli, and throwing out all these names and going, they sound more like hairdressers than and then they start chanting, "Let's go Giants" again. And he goes, "The only thing that's going to be more of a choke is when they blow it in the Super Bowl next week." And then at this point now, they're drowning him out with "Let's Go Giants" throughout the entire Madison Square Garden. And it is an amazing moment. And Santino's realized now, oh no, what do I do? I've lost this. I can't get back to my promo.
Mm-hmm.
And he finally goes, "Nobody cares about the Giants." Watching him lose it is just so great.
No, definitely.
And it would help out later, which I'll get to with the Rumble match. But man, Santino here, this is how you get heel heat.
Definitely.
Just go out and rip on their freaking sports team that they all love.
And here's the thing, right? There are 3 cities you can easily get heel heat by just talking trash. Okay, you got New York, you got Philadelphia, and you have Chicago. You want to get
I'm gonna throw Boston in there too.
Oh, okay, yeah, then 4. I definitely agreed with that. Yeah, 4 with Boston. You want to get some really good heel heat in those 4 cities. You just talk trash about their teams or anything that they're proud of. Like like in Chicago, especially if you talk trash about CM Punk or you talk about the Bulls or whatever. And in Philadelphia, I mean, all 4 of those cities. You want to get
those are the 4 prominent ones.
Yeah.
There's others too.
But,
I'm not gonna say others don't.
Yeah.
But those 4 especially, it's just like do not badmouth our sports teams. I mean, Texas is close.
Yeah. Texas is, in Dallas. When you're in Dallas, definitely.
Yeah,
It's
Dallas
close,
with their Cowboys and like I said, if you badmouth the Texas Rangers, there's different teams in Texas too that they'll go to bat for. But
for the 4 prominent cities.
But yeah, it got to the point where people didn't even care anymore about the Maria thing. It was just now we're just hating on you, Santino.
Exactly.
He kind of stole the whole promo away. And then he killed the whole promo.
Yeah, he's just lucky that at that point in time somebody wasn't trying to come to the ring and
well, then he killed the promo by introducing Big Dick Johnson.
Oh, God. I got nothing
to say. I got to mention this.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know it has nothing to do with Royal Rumble, but I got to mention this.
Go ahead.
TNA.
Yep.
What the heck, man? If you're going to do a parody, you don't do the exact same thing with a fatter, uglier man. A parody would have been to have the oily woman.
Yep.
Have a girl that's oily dancer, a nice, beautiful, voluptuous woman doing the oil thing. That's a parody done right. They got a fatter, uglier, hairier man and actually called him let's call him the fat, ugly, oily man. Was that what they called him? Fat, ugly, oily
I don't remember when that happened in TNA. I just said,
"What are you doing? This is even worse than what WWE's doing with Big Dick Johnson." I met Big Dick Johnson about 3 months before he started that angle. He was showing up at Northeast Wrestling events, and I didn't know who he was, and my buddy, one of my buddies there, Mr. Jay Fitch, he was with them, and he told, because Jay was working backstage as well at the time for WWE, and he told me, this guy's going to be in WWE soon. You'll be seeing him on TV. And I'm thinking to myself, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
And boy,
I gotta ask you, since you had an encounter, I guess let's call it. Is he a trained worker, or is he just some lucky schmo that he knew somebody that knew somebody in order to get into the
Big Dick Johnson? I don't think he was trained. I can't say one way or the other, but I don't think he was.
I mean,
but he never wrestled a match either.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
and then eventually, because he came back for a Raw reunion once, and they had Bastion Booger on the show, and they actually said Triple H throws out a line saying that Big Dick Johnson is Bastion Booger's son, and the two of them hugged it out.
My God.
And that was the last time we saw either one of them on WWE TV, by the way.
Thank God.
And yeah, now we'll never see Bastion Booger again, though, because Mike passed away. But anyway,
At least,
So yeah, Santino.
At least Mike could work a match, unlike Big Dick
Yes,
Johnson.
he could, and I loved his Norman the Lunatic gimmick.
I agree.
So yeah, Santino does that, and Ric Flair, by the way, has one of his matches that at the time he was doing this stupid storyline. If he loses, he has to retire,
Yep.
and he wrestled MVP here, and it wasn't a good match. But this would be the one and only Royal Rumble of Mike Adamle, who was making his WWE debut tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And the first promo he's going to cut is to lead up to Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton. Now, this is edited off the network.
Yeah.
And I hate that they did that because this was one of the highlights for me of this show. It cracked me up that night when he's talking because he goes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mike Adamle, and we are about to see Randy Orton, the Viper, as he's going to go after the world title. But one man wants to keep the title, and his name is Jeff Harvey. Jeff Harvey. That's the debut of Mike Adamle. And then it actually became a trend. He would always mess up things and say weird things like for Kofi, "You're making me crazy." And it just, he would always call Taz the Taz. I'm here with the Taz.
Yeah, I
it got to the point where people started saying they Adamlaid it. It became a phrase.
I mean, yeah, no.
And then I'll never forget Batista and John Cena in the ring when they were going to announce the new Raw GM, and they both admitted that later on that neither of them did actually know who was going to be the new Raw GM.
Yep.
And Shane McMahon's in the ring, and he goes, "The new Raw general manager, Mike Adamle," and the reaction on both their faces is legit and just like, are you kidding me?
He couldn't even get Jeff Hardy's name right.
He couldn't get anybody's name right. Exactly. And by the way, here's a good one for you. Yeah. The promo Ric Flair cut before his farewell match at WrestleMania was conducted by Mike Adamle. Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Oh, man. But anyway, enough about Mike Adamle.
I want to say something really quick, okay?
Okay.
Okay. I respect Mike Adamle's here and what he's done outside of WWE.
Oh, I love Mike Adamle on American Gladiators.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he was one of my favorite announcers.
Oh no, I agree, and that's why I had hope for him in WWE. But as soon as he did his first mess up, and then it became a trend, and he just kept on getting things.
But you know what? I'd prefer him over Michael Cole. Hey. Okay, we won't agree with that, but I'm going to stick to that one, though.
That's you, brother. That's you.
I'm sticking with that. I like Mike Adamle because I like his voice. Mm-hmm. I just didn't like that he was making all these mistakes, but I still prefer him over Cole.
The question is, was it a legitimate mistake or was it?
No, these were. I think it started as legitimate mistakes, and then I think that as it went on, it became kind of his gimmick, and they pushed it forward on purpose. That's just my opinion, but anyway,
let's go.
We get on to the Royal Rumble match, and it took 21 years, but finally. Vince did it, and he never did it again after this. He got Michael Buffer to come out and do the Let's Get Ready to Rumble for the Rumble. Now, here's my problem with that. I loved hearing that. It was cool, but two problems. One, it started to feel kind of like a WCW event having Michael Buffer there.
Yeah, very true.
And the other was the way he would announce the people. Because, for example, The Undertaker gets out at number 1. Why didn't he emphasize on I just don't understand the way he emphasized it. When he does his announcement, he says, "The Undertaker," and I thought that sounds terrible.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna emphasize,
why didn't he say it like the
Undertaker?
Exactly. Put the emphasis on not on It just sounded weird.
Exactly.
And then even Shawn Michaels, who gets number 2. By the way, yes, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, the final 2 of last year, now the first 2 this year. So we had them last so long at the end of the last one where I got sick of seeing them. So here they are again. But Yeah, Michael Buffer's just like Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, and I'm like, what the heck? That's how you announce it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but
They paid him a bunch of money to
oh,
basically
you know
get
he
it
got a
wrong.
lot of money, yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah, the two who ended the year before are now going to start. So Santino comes out and immediately gets a "Let's Go Giants," That's, and he comes in, and while Sean and Taker are both standing there, and they both beat him up and throw him over the top. 25 seconds, Mister Santino. But believe it or not, it's longer than it'll last a year after, which we'll get to. Kali comes out. Now, the year previously, Kali was in there with Undertaker, and it got a big pop.
Mhm.
Not this time. Kali comes out and chops Undertaker, chops Shawn Michaels, and gets a loud New York City "You Can't Wrestle" chant. They did not care about Kali at all out there.
I want to say this. I
Hornswoggle.
want to say this real quick. Okay, I want to say that
Okay.
I seen Kali wrestle. Okay, when you book Kali right, he can actually work a match. You know what I mean? But the way that they booked him in WWE was it was really messed up. And so after the fact, when I'm going back into this Rumble and they're saying you can't wrestle, well, that's because WWE didn't let him. It's
Well,
just
what do you know about the supposed rumor that he killed somebody in the ring overseas?
I heard about it. I heard about it, and you know what? If mistakes happen in wrestling, but the way they made it sound like is if he did it on purpose type of thing. And I don't have enough information about it to really comment. All I know is that if it did happen, okay, that does happen. Like with Rey Mysterio situation type of thing.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna say like the Rey Mysterio
yeah,
situation.
and mistakes do happen. Accidents do happen in wrestling. But I seriously think WWE.
Supposedly they wanted to do a dark side of the ring of that, but it's on hold right now because Ray's under WWE contract and they want Ray
Yeah,
to come and tell his side if they can do it.
yeah. I just think when it came down to the Great Khali, WWE could have booked them way, way better than they did. And but again, you got to go into the McMahon thinking of, well, he's a giant, he shouldn't be able to do this type of thing. No, let him work a match. Let him actually work a match. That's all I
Yeah,
gotta
like we
say.
were talking about before with Andre,
Yeah.
we talked about it here on the podcast when
Mm.
I seen the Japanese match of Andre Giant versus Stan Hansen, and I see Andre doing some things I've never seen Andre do before, and I went,
Exactly.
"Wow,
Exactly. Exactly. It's
where
the
was
same
that
thing.
Andre?" I don't think we ever saw that Andre here in the states.
Maybe early on, but like later on, it was just they.
Well, that was only like a year before he went back to WWE to do the feud with Hogan.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But that's the thing.
but
It's like,
anyway,
yeah. But I'm just all I'm saying is that
okay.
what, Great Khali, he can work a match. WWE, they could have really done some big things with him. That's all I gotta say. All right.
So Hornswoggle becomes the first ever little person to enter the Royal Rumble,
Mm-hmm.
gets scared, and he runs underneath the ring. He comes back out later and grabs the Miz by the arm and pulls the Miz over the top, gets back in the ring. Everybody tries to gang up on him.
Mm-hmm.
Finley comes out, hits everybody with the shillelagh. Hornswoggle leaves the ring, not over the top.
Yep.
He's eliminated, and Finley is now disqualified from coming out for his spot because he used the shillelagh.
Yep.
What? Who booked this?
I have I have no idea. This was after
We
Russo.
get earlier in the day, Jimmy Snuka had been spotted all over the building,
Mm-hmm.
and it leaked out online that Jimmy Snuka was going to be a surprise entrant. So when Snuka comes out, crowd goes nuts, and they act like it's a big deal. I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but we knew he was going to be there, so it's not a big deal to me anyway. But then Roddy Piper comes out next, and nobody was reporting that. So that was like this huge moment, and everybody in the ring just stops working and just literally stood there, and they're watching as fans. They're watching Piper and Snuka go at it. It was, as the WWE has called it, the moment where time stood still.
Yep.
And then Kane comes in next and dumps both guys over the top. But granted, I mean, Piper was way out of shape at this point, and so was Snuka. Neither guy was really gonna do anything. So it was a nice moment of nostalgia, though.
Yeah, no, I agree. What would
One
have been
last
funny?
time in the Garden, Jimmy
What
Snuka and Roddy Piper.
what would have been kind of epic, in my opinion, was that if Piper came out with a coconut, ready to hit Snuka.
Miz and Morrison are up on the top rope wrestling with somebody. I can't remember who it was, so don't ask. But out comes Shelton Benjamin, runs to that corner, leaps to the top rope, and knocks both Miz and Morrison off the top to the floor. Wow, what a spot.
Yep.
Then he comes over and he goes to go after somebody, and Shawn Michaels gives him a super kick and he flies over the top and he's out of there. Almost immediately after ending the match. And Joey Styles says, well, I guess there is stopping Shelton Benjamin now. Joey Styles, by the way, on commentary, he keeps trying to tell stories, which they told him to do. They told him he wasn't telling enough stories. So he's trying to tell stories, and they're all telling him to shut up, and it's really annoying.
I agree.
Because he starts talking about Miz and Morrison, and he said, well, remember Miz and Morrison, they just were wrestling a match last night, and then they were in their car, and they were bombarded by thousands of women who came and spent the night with them. And they're all like, what does this have to do with anything, Joey? And they're like telling him, just shut up. And he goes, well, I'm only trying to point out that they may be really tired and fatigued in this match because they were up all night partying. You know what? That's a good story to tell.
Exactly.
And it's something that does have to affect the match.
Exactly.
So why doesn't everybody else shut up and let Joey do his job?
Yep. I agree.
It's really annoying hearing the way they treated Joey here, Cole and JBL especially, but or not Cole and JBL, it was Coach and Cole, but even so, really annoying. But yeah, so we all get these great spots going on. Mick Foley's in the ring, and Mick Foley actually gets thrown into Orlando Jordan, which knocks both guys over the top rope, which was kind of interesting. Then, now supposedly, again, this is supposedly, because nobody knew number 30. And supposedly, the guys in the ring, only Triple H knew. I don't know if that's true.
Wouldn't surprise
From
me.
what I'm told, the only one that was in the ring that knew who was coming out was Triple H.
Wouldn't surprise me. It really would not surprise me at this point.
And I do know, I've heard from, I think it was Chavo, who said that he was told that number 30 was going to throw him out, but he didn't know who 30 was. And so it was like, because they wanted to keep it under wraps. They did not want it leaking out. And there was no way anybody saw it coming. I remember watching live, and I had friends who were there. They said that the reaction on TV didn't do it justice of how New York reacted. And I know I reacted that way at home. I was just like, what?
Yep.
Because here comes John Cena.
Yep.
Who just tore his freaking pec. He's out until at least July.
Yep.
And yet here he is in January, and he's back. And it was just like, you gotta be kidding. And the jaws dropped on everybody in the ring, including Triple H. But like I said, I was told Triple H knew. But oh my God. And Cena comes in like a freaking ball of fire, eliminating Mark Henry, eliminating everybody. And then it comes down to him and Triple H. And of course, John Cena wins. So he wins with number 30. I told you in the last one, it took 20 years for somebody to finally win with 30, and now it's happened 2 years in a row. Nobody wins with 30 until the 2008 Rumble or 2007 Rumble, and now 2 years in a row they've won with 30. But
man.
No take on that, I guess.
No,
Okay.
no, I'm just agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you 100%, man. Don't, yeah. No,
All
I'm.
right. Anything else to add to '08?
No, no. To be honest with you, I mean, I did have some hope again, for CM Punk again, as I was saying, before with the year before, again, CM Punk being that upstart, that young summer type of thing,
Oh, he got some loud chants too from Madison Square
oh
Garden.
yeah,
CM
definitely,
Punk did, as did Tommy Dreamer.
oh
Got
yeah.
loud ECW chants and they booed. There was loud boos when Dreamer got thrown out.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It would have been cool if Tommy Dreamer would have won it, but there was no way he was gonna win it.
I think it was
Um,
just a big deal for Tommy Dreamer to be there
yeah,
because
exactly,
of the history with him in Madison Square Garden.
exactly. And then but again, as I was saying with CM Punk, I had like the year before, I had high hopes for him, but at the same
Mick
time, it's
Foley
like it
actually
wasn't gonna
stated
happen.
that match was one of his favorite Rumbles
Mm-hmm.
because he got to work in the same ring, not at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the same match as Jimmy Snuka in Madison Square Garden.
Oh yeah, no, and you know what, and I can agree with him, especially with the history that Mick Foley
Well, everybody
has.
knows Foley was there because he was seen on camera, but Tommy Dreamer was there,
Yeah,
Matt Stryker was there,
yeah.
and Bubba Ray Dudley was there.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's just
That's pretty huge because none of them knew each other.
exactly,
And yet these guys were all in attendance for that event, and it made every one of them want to be wrestlers. It's
exactly,
pretty much a big deal.
and the fact that they actually got to participate in the match. You know what I mean? That Jimmy Snuka was part of. You could tell.
Striker wasn't in that match, but yeah, Dreamer
Well, I mean,
and
other than Striker, but I'm
and
saying,
Bubba wasn't in that match either.
yeah,
But Dreamer and Foley, yeah, they were both
that's
in
what I'm
that
saying.
match with Snuka now,
No, exactly, yeah,
and it would be Snuka's last Madison Square Garden. I think his last Madison Square Garden match. I think.
exactly. I mean, it'll be the same thing as is okay, like okay, like with me, right? With me, you know what? Two of the top guys that made me want to be a wrestler was Hogan and Terry Funk. And the fact that I got to be a part of an event where Terry Funk was also a part of, that was like, oh my
You're
gosh.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you for that. But you know what I'm saying. But you know what I'm saying. It's like I definitely understand it. I definitely understand you know the the fact that the honor that they felt, just being in that match with Snuka, even though it wasn't necessarily at the same time in the ring, but they got to be part of that. I definitely understand it, and you know what? It's like it will be something that will uh live in their memories till the day go.
Yeah, definitely. Striker did not get to be part of the '08 one, but he was in '09.
Mm-hmm.
'09, we have new commentating. We have
I,
Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole doing Raw,
mm-hmm.
Taz and Jim Ross doing SmackDown, Matt Striker and Todd Grisham doing ECW.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck is that about? But
I
anyway,
yeah.
uh, nothing to report on this show. This is a pretty poor Royal Rumble event.
Mm-hmm.
I do love the music for it that they used that night. I don't think it's on the network. Probably they did not pay the rights to keep it. But so Rey Mysterio draws number one in the Rumble. John Morrison number two. Man, what a great start to this Rumble with these two guys. They really do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Kozlov comes out. This was my first time seeing Kozlov, and they make him out to be a big deal. He starts eliminating guys and showing that he's a tough as nails guy. But then out comes Triple H, who completely buries Kozlov, gives him a pedigree, and throws him over the top rope as if he's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, wow, I don't know who this Kozlov guy was. They made me take notice of him, and then they made me think, oh, he's just a jobber.
Yep.
And I'm sure that wasn't just me that felt that way seeing him for the first time. What a horrible way to build this guy. And man, look at where his career went.
Yeah.
He ended up at the end before he left doing comedy skits with Santino.
Yeah. No, it was.
Oh,
I
man.
mean, the way that they presented him in the beginning, and you had such high hopes for him to be a really good, like, a really good monster heel.
Well, I
And
remember reading about him after it happened. Even the TNA originally was going to have him, and they didn't know what to do with him, so they contacted Vince and said, "Hey, do you want this guy?"
mhm. It was just I don't know. The thing is that from what I understand, he couldn't really do much in the ring anyway. It was just it was
Yeah, I know, but they still that can be hidden, man.
no, it can be, especially with the right talent, putting him over. But but still, it was like I think if anything, WWE rushed to get him into a
Look how many
match.
guys Paul Heyman got over that had no business getting over.
Oh no, I agree. No, I agree. But I'm just saying, I think if anything, if WWE would have taken more time with him to really develop a character, regardless of in ring ability, they could have gotten him over even better. But it was like they didn't really take the time to really put a character together, as people say, with creative the way it is. And it just turned out, that the best that they could have done with him, just put him in comedy skits with Santino. And unfortunately, that's what happened.
Yeah, but Rob Van Dam shows up as a major surprise here, and oh my god, the crowd popped huge for it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody saw that one coming.
No, I definitely
Now,
didn't.
then we get crazy.
Yep.
Brian Kendrick comes out at number 26 and lasts 15 seconds. Dolph Ziggler comes out next at
Yep.
number 27.
Yep.
He comes in, he goes to shake Kane's hand. This was when he's doing his introducing thing. He goes, "Hi, I'm Dolph Ziggler." Kane shakes his hand and smiles, but grabs his hand and throws him over top.
Yep.
Dolph lasts 21 seconds.
Excuse me, I got a cough. Go ahead. Yep.
So number 28
Yep.
next.
Oh
Again, these
God.
are three numbers in a row.
Yep.
Santino comes out and gets clotheslined over the top, setting the record, which is still the record, 1 second in the match. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. What beautiful timing, but man,
Yeah.
these three guys. Oh, by the way, Brian Kendrick wasn't supposed to last 15 seconds. He was supposed to go faster. His head got caught in the rope.
Yep.
The top of his head hit the rope and bounced him backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to take a clothesline to go over the top. I don't know what happened there, but
It was a botch. It was a botch. Simple.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan's a surprise here. Kind of a big deal because he's the first ever Royal Rumble winner. I felt that it would have worked better if it was in say 08.
Yep.
Because that was 20 years.
Yep.
Or even 07 because that was the 20th annual, but okay, the 22nd annual. Here's our first winner. Okay. Big Show gets number 30. Now here's the crazy thing. Undertaker gives a big boot to Big Show. Big Show goes over the top rope. His feet don't touch the floor, and he dangles himself from the top rope and pulls himself back up into the ring.
He pulls a Shawn
Now,
Michaels.
again, we've seen guys do this over and over again.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels
but this
was
is
the
the
first
Big
one.
Show.
Yeah. Exactly. Like when you see somebody like Shawn Michaels when he did it the first time, okay, cool, because he's smaller, he has the agility. But for the Big Show to do that, I was popping.
That weight alone, you would think would have pulled his feet to the floor.
Exactly.
When it happened, even I went, "Oh my god!" I still get goosebumps when I see that spot. I can't believe.
Oh yeah,
it.
I mean, if anything, you would think that the
Jim,
rope.
Jim Ross, man, he loses it too. He's just like, "Oh my god."
I mean, you would expect like the rope to snap or something like that. You know what I mean? But
exactly, it's like, how the heck did that get pulled off?
Oh, I definitely
not just by Big Show, but by the rope.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely popped for that because I was just like, "Holy heck!" I was cussing like crazy.
What a moment! Yeah,
exactly.
So Randy Orton had number 8, and this was when he's with Legacy. Mm-hmm. Manu was already gone. But he's got DiBiase and he's got Rhodes. DiBiase and Rhodes, they it comes down to DiBiase, Rhodes, Orton, and Triple H. And Triple H eliminates Rhodes, eliminates DiBiase, but in the process, Orton comes over and dumps Triple H. So Randy Orton wins his first Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all I got to say about '09, unless you added something.
No, no, not really. I mean, I think if anything with '09, Randy Orton winning it, I think that was like the first real big match where he really started
Well, this
showing.
Rumble was tailor made for Orton.
Yeah.
This was when the theme song for the show was what became Randy Orton's theme song
Yep.
of I Hear Voices in My Head.
Yep.
The build up was him kicking Stephanie, kicking Shane, and then kicking Vince.
Yep.
And they even like were like, we have an update on the McMahon family, and it was just like they made it out to be a huge deal.
Yeah.
Orton was doing this,
Yeah,
and
that's what I
it
was
wasn't his
saying.
fault. It was trauma.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was saying is that I think this was like the first real big match where Randy Orton really got to showcase
It was
his
telegraphed
character.
though that he
Yeah,
was going to win it.
exactly. Yeah. So I thought it was perfect as far as for Randy Orton to win it, especially with the build up to it. It was just you know, anybody else I don't think it would have made sense, but at this point, for Orton to win it, especially with the build up, it was perfect for him.
But the next few we're going to try and get through pretty quickly so we can start catching up because we're going long.
Mm-hmm.
2010, we've got Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler, and Matt Stryker on commentary. A 3-man team back to. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Show is pretty bad, so we're just going to skip to the Rumble match. Dolph Ziggler, number 1. Evan Bourne, number 2. Good opening there. And then CM Punk comes out at number 3. This is during the Straight Edge Society gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
And Punk runs the Rumble, eliminating everybody as they come in. I want you to keep that in mind, too, that he's doing this. He's just throwing every guy out. Zack Ryder comes out. Punk, in between all these guys, grabs the microphone and keeps on giving his preaching comments. And it's great of, I'm going to save everybody with this Rumble. And it's just great stuff. And again, I'm going to tell you now why I'm saying it so it's not forgotten. In 2020, Brock Lesnar would do this, and Michael Cole, I just rewatched this today.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Cole says, nobody in the history of the Royal Rumble has ever come in and dominated the ring. And I'm like, Diesel did it in 94, and Punk's doing it here.
Mm-hmm.
And Punk would do it again the year after, but we'll get to that in a minute. But it's like, come on, dude. It's happened more than once.
Exactly.
Brock was the first guy to do it with the number 1 spot. I'll give him that. But actually, not even. No, because the next year Punk had one. So, no, sorry, Cole, you're an idiot, just like always. But we already know that. So then Beth Phoenix comes out, and now Beth Phoenix is in there with CM Punk, and she gives him a good run for his money. And then Kali comes in, and by the way, Beth Phoenix is the second girl now to enter the Rumble after Chyna did it twice. Kali comes out, and Punk goes, I can save you too, Kali. And Kali gives the big chop to Punk and belts him in the mouth, which busts Punk's mouth open. Punk is bleeding now from the mouth. And then Beth Phoenix, that's when she comes out, and she gives a kiss to Kali. And Stryker says, why does Kali get all the good stuff? And she pulls him over the top rope and eliminates Kali.
The kiss
then rolls in the ring and has some.
I was just saying the kiss that eliminated Kali.
The kiss of death.
Yep.
So then Beth has a run with Punk, and Punk gives her the GTS and then lifts her up in a very awkward way and throws her over the top. But then Triple H comes out, and there's the end of Punk's run, and Triple H eliminates Punk. Burying people again.
Always.
Like he always does.
Yep.
Batista draws number 30 for the first time. We'll get to that later. And then as a surprise, we all knew, at least most of us knew, that Edge was going to be a surprise in this match and win. I thought he was going to be number 30. I did figure out he was going to be 29, though, because right before number 29 came in, everybody is down on the mat. And I said, oh, this is going to be Edge. And sure enough, out came Edge, eliminates Chris Jericho, and Edge ends up winning the match. Shawn Michaels gets eliminated by Batista and gets very angry because he was hoping to win the Rumble so he could go on to WrestleMania to face The Undertaker, because Undertaker had beat Rey Mysterio earlier for the title. Oh, this was bad, though. And then, yeah, they would take the title off of Undertaker at the Elimination Chamber, and Jericho would get it so that Jericho could go to WrestleMania to face Edge. But that's pretty much it with 2010. We will mention, though, Drew McIntyre comes out in this one, and they mention how he's Mr. McMahon's handpicked future of the business. Look at what happened 10 years later.
Yeah, took long enough.
I know. He went through a lot of crap, too, in between, like 3MB. But moving on to 2011, the first ever 40-man Rumble match. Commentary again is Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler, and Matt Striker. We have a great match on this show between Edge and Dolph Ziggler for the world title. What a match. And then we go to the 40-man Rumble match. We've got CM Punk number 1, Daniel Bryan number 2. CM Punk comes out and he is dominating the whole match. Zack Ryder comes out wearing some weird looking trunks that look like they came from the Nasty Boys collection. That's what I said when I first saw this. And then Matt Striker, the next thing out of his mouth is, he's got the Nasty Boys trunks on. And I went, see, it's not just me. He sees it too. So Punk was the leader of the New Nexus at this point, and the New Nexus now is in the ring. Husky Harris, every one of them, David Otunga, they all come out, and they're just all dominating and helping Punk, and Punk's like, this is my Rumble, and Jerry Lawler's complaining on commentary, this is not the tradition of the Royal Rumble to help each other. It's supposed to be every man for himself, and Cole is heel Cole here. He's terrible, but he's just like, you would do this, King. You would do this. There's a line when Daniel Bryan's in there. Cole says, because they're talking about Gail Kim, and he goes, I can't believe this nerd has a girlfriend. Way to be a star, Cole. Right. But then because he's like, who cares about Punk and Daniel Bryan? And Matt Striker's like, the internet loves this match. And Cole goes, who cares about the stupid internet? Nobody's going to remember the internet anymore. It's still pretty soon. And then literally just a few months later, we would hear from Michael Cole, download the app today. Download the WWE app. All this stuff with the internet. It's like, Cole, you're such a tool. Yeah. I hate Michael Cole. I really do. Oh, by the way, bro, somebody, Blue Meanie, he freaking made our joke. I don't know if he heard us or what, but he got a Michael Cole trading card in his stocking.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, I got Cole for Christmas, and it's the bad kind. And I'm like, oh my God.
I wonder if he does listen. That would be cool.
I doubt it. I think it's just coincidence, but it was funny. Yeah. The New Nexus. Yeah, so they're running the show, and then Husky Harris finally gets eliminated, aka Bray Wyatt. And literally the next guy in is Mason Ryan. So it's like, well, they're back to the full strength. And then they're dominating. And then number 22. Yeah, they got all the way to 22 dominating the match. How about that? Yep. Going through guys like Booker T, who was a surprise. And then, which Matt Striker would absolutely like ape crap over. It's a mark out moment. I'm marking out, bro. And by the way, they were in Boston. But 22 is John Cena. He comes in and ruins it and eliminates the entire New Nexus and Punk. What the heck? And they wonder why just a few, not long after this, was the CM Punk rant that would turn Punk into the biggest star of the company. Yep. John Morrison does what Kofi Kingston gets all the credit for, but Kofi does give the credit to John Morrison. John Morrison gets shoved off the apron leaps to the guardrail and Spidey's it. He leaps like Spider-Man, climbs onto the guardrail, tight ropes the guardrail over by the ring steps, leaps to the steps and gets back in the ring. What a moment.
Oh yeah.
As I said, Booker T's a surprise. There was also the surprise of Diesel, who got a huge pop, sadly, because that's what would lead to the stupid Kevin Nash run of 2011, because he got that pop. Alex Riley comes out to Miz's music because that's his music. When his music hits, all the commentators got confused thinking Miz was in the match, including Cole goes, "What?" And then Cole quickly changes it to Alex Riley. What a great guy. It's like, no, Cole, you got fooled. You thought Miz was in the match. There was a planned spot where Miz was going to be on commentary and Alex Riley was eventually going to eliminate Cena. Kofi and Cena are wrestling with Riley on the top rope. Riley loses his footing and falls off to the floor, and now he's eliminated. The commentators do not see it, and they're talking, and Miz gives the line, Alex Riley is being very smart in there right now. And Jerry Lawler goes, "Where is Alex Riley?" Yeah, he's being very smart, Miz. He's not even in there. They called an audible. Alex Riley comes back out to distract Cena so Miz can jump into the ring and eliminate Cena. And he left his belt behind, by the way. He left the belt just sitting there. It's like, wow, that's really important to you, Miz. Kane comes out at number 40, being the only man to ever draw number 40. Again, I don't count Greatest Royal Rumble. And then Del Rio wins at 38. Alberto Del Rio. And they did a spot with Santino had gotten knocked to the floor, and everybody, including myself, had forgotten about him. So when Del Rio wins, Santino crawls into the ring, and I was going crazy. I thought, oh my God, they're going to let Santino win this.
Yep.
And what a moment that would have been. And Santino's going to go to WrestleMania, and then he goes to throw out Del Rio, and Del Rio sidesteps it and dumps Santino and wins again. Yeah. Disappointment.
That definitely would have been a shocker if Santino would have won.
I was actually really mad with this Rumble. You had 40 guys, and you barely had any surprises. And you put Edge and Orton and all these guys who had wrestled earlier in the night in the Rumble. So I was really like,
yeah, they could.
I don't know, man.
No, they definitely could have done more. They definitely could have done more. You know,
it was a very disappointing Rumble to me, and it wasn't that good.
No, I agree.
Especially with 40 guys, it could have been so much better.
Oh, I agree. No, I agree with.
Moving on to 2012. Speaking of disappointing Rumbles, we have the commentary team is Booker T, Jerry Lawler, and Michael Cole. In the Rumble match, The Miz draws number 1, Alex Riley number 2. Mick Foley is in this Rumble, and him and Santino, they have a sock battle. Foley puts on Sacco, and Santino puts on the Cobra, and the two hands go at it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun little comedy spot, but at the same time,
Del Rio, who won the year previously here, was injured and not scheduled to be in the match. So when his music hits, everybody got confused. And out drives the biggest jalopy of a car I've ever seen, with the windshield replaced with plastic. Dents all over the car, paint falling off the car. It's like, what the heck is that? And out comes Ricardo Rodriguez. What a funny moment. And then he gets involved in the battle with Foley and Santino before finally getting eliminated. And they give him a big wedgie on the way out.
Right. So, and you know what? And I just want to add this really quick, just kind of a little backstory. What a lot of people don't realize is that Ricardo Rodriguez is pretty decent in the ring. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, I've seen his stuff in Mexico.
You know where he was before wrestling, right?
MMA, I believe.
He was an extra for Brazzers.
Oh wow. Okay, I see. I did not know that.
There was a lot of scenes where when they have the extras who are involved in the scene and they leave before the stuff happens, he was sitting like in classrooms and stuff.
Ah, well, he was making money. He was making money doing something then. But I feel,
Yeah, he's
I
not
feel,
actually getting involved in
yeah,
anything there. He's getting paid just to be there.
yeah.
So
No, but I tell you, I've seen some of his work in Mexico. I mean, this guy, he can definitely work a good match. You know, if they ever do bring him back, I hope that they, book him properly as a wrestler. You know what I mean?
I
Or,
remember in 2011, I think it was
Mhm,
at TLC. It was either 2011 or 2012, but I think it was 2011,
mhm,
where they had Del Rio versus Punk versus Miz,
mhm.
and Ricardo goes to climb a ladder because it's a TLC match, and they dump the ladder over, and he takes the sickest bump ever through tables.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh
He missed pretty much all the tables. it
yeah,
was
yeah. It
He was
was
lucky to be alive with the
yeah.
way that bump went down.
Oh yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for any kind of padding that they might put down in the area, he definitely would have passed that night.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, but that's a great match too, by the way. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Going back.
2012.
Yeah.
As I said, we have all these things going on, and Kofi Kingston now takes over for John Morrison. He gets eliminated, but he lands on his hands,
Mhm.
and he handstands his way back into the ring.
It was just the first of many.
This was the first, yes.
Yeah, for Kofi.
um, Then again, as I said, their commentators for the night is Jerry Lawler, Michael Cole, and Booker T. And Booker T now is in the match as a surprise.
Hmm.
And he gets eliminated pretty quickly. And then Jerry Lawler is in the ring as a surprise. And he gets eliminated.
Yep.
And then Michael Cole is in the match.
Ah, man.
So all three commentators are almost back to back to back. And out comes Karma, who had not been seen since she left for due to the pregnancy. Unfortunately, in real life, she had a miscarriage. What a great opportunity with her. Like I said, if she didn't have the pregnancy,
Yeah.
I think she would have been the one to destroy the Divas division. It would have been cool to see her tear the belt in half and everything. But yeah, she broke down and cried. Sorry, she
Mhm.
broke down and cried, and we all thought, "Oh my god, they're gonna go down this stupid angle where she feels too ugly around them." But yeah, no. Instead, she announced that she was pregnant and she left,
Mhm.
and now she's back. She causes Michael Cole to eliminate himself before she herself is eliminated by Dolph Ziggler, but she does get to eliminate
Unico.
Hunico
Unico. Unico.
before she gets out.
You gotta say it right. Unico. Unico.
Unico, whatever. Sin Cara Negro.
You gotta remember, man, I'm Spanish, man, so I take that serious.
I know, man, but I'm not. So yeah, Karma, what a great moment for her. And she's the third woman now in a Royal Rumble.
Mhm.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan is a surprise again. And Road Dogg is a surprise and gets a huge pop.
Mhm.
And then Big Show again draws number 30. He just drew it a couple years back
Yep.
in 2009. And now he's got it again. And he doesn't win. And as I mentioned earlier, we get this long, drawn out thing with Chris Jericho and Sheamus, and it goes on way too long, even longer than Michaels and Taker. This Rumble actually was one of the. This and '07 are the two longest Rumbles in history that had 30 guys. And yeah, Sheamus ends up winning finally and wins at number 22 for Sheamus, which, by the way, is my lucky number. This was the first year I did a Rumble poll, but it was where I didn't get to pick my number,
Yeah.
and I was given number 3,
Yeah.
which turned out to be Justin Gabriel. And as soon as he came out, I said, "Well, I lost."
Yep.
But if
By the
I was able
way,
to pick my number, 22 is always my pick, and I
by
would have won this one.
by the way, here's the fun fact. Sheamus was number 22. He was the winner, and he lasted 22 minutes and 22 seconds.
There you go. 22 minutes and 22 seconds,
Yeah.
no less. Wow. They couldn't have planned that.
No way. It was just a,
22, my lucky number, and apparently Sheamus's lucky number.
Yep.
The luck of the Irish.
Yep. Oh man. No, I was just looking
But
it up.
anyway,
Yeah, I was just looking it up. I figured I'd tell you. I thought that was kind of cool.
2013. Speaking of unlucky, 13. We've got Cole, Lawler, and JBL doing commentary. The Rumble match, number 1. It's Dolph Ziggler again. Chris Jericho is a surprise at number 2, and the freaking crowd came unglued. Mm-hmm. Including myself, because nobody saw that coming. What a big deal. Kofi has a weird spot here. Mm-hmm. He's knocked on top of Tensai. And Tensai drops him on the announce table. And then he grabs JBL's chair and bunny hops his way to the ring. Yep. Why didn't he just leap to the steps?
I really don't.
But
I didn't understand it either.
Starting to get weird already. Yeah. Ryback has number 30 in this one, and then John Cena wins for the second time. He wins at number 19, and everybody, including Stevie Wonder, could see where they're going with this. Yep. That John Cena just won the Rumble, and that we know who's going to win the next match now because they're going to build to get rid of that once in a lifetime. They're going to find their loophole. Mm-hmm. So CM Punk defends the title against The Rock. CM Punk has had the title now for how many days? 400 and something days.
Yeah, something around that.
It was a long time. Yeah. Earlier this week, actually I'll get to that after. So the Shield had been attacking people left and right, and they made a plea because they thought that Punk was involved. If the Shield gets involved in this match, they're stripping Punk of the championship. Lights go out, and the Shield puts The Rock through a table, and Michael Cole is like, "That's the Shield! That's the Shield!" It's like, hey, Cole, there's the door. So the Shield attacks The Rock. Punk wins the match. And then Vince comes out and says, "No, you did not win the match. And we're stripping you." And The Rock grabs the mic and says, "No, I'm going to take it from him. Restart this match." So they restart the match. Why? Punk won. Let it go. He's won. Nope, they restart the match, and Rock wins the match, killing Punk's deal. And that's the end of CM Punk. Now, here's what I was going to say. Mm-hmm. There was an incident. I don't remember where it was. A man who was working at a convenience store was shot in the face at work. Wow. He was interviewed on television the next day, saying that getting shot in the face wasn't even the worst part of the week. And the news people said, "Oh, what was?" The fact that The Rock beat CM Punk for the title. Raw is gonna be live 2 towns over from this guy, like a week or 2 later.
Yeah.
CM Punk, not even asked by WWE, went and traveled to this hospital and went and met this guy. Mm-hmm. And signed autographs for him and all.
Nice.
And said, "Man, you're a super fan that you got shot in the face and all you care about is my title run." Punk gets a lot of crap. People say he doesn't care about his fans. I think he does. Yeah. I think that proves it.
Oh, definitely.
He did not have to do that. It was not a WWE sanctioned thing. He just did it on his own.
Yep.
He found out where this guy was and drove there and went and saw the guy. So hats off to Punk for that one. But then The Rock would take the title and he would leave with it and return just to drop it to John Cena at WrestleMania. Boy. Anyway, I'm still mad about that because I thought that Punk was the guy. They should have let Punk beat Bruno. I think that. I really believe that in my heart.
Oh, no, I agree.
Punk should have beat Bruno's record.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree. He should have. It was
Punk still had a lot to give, and they screwed him every step of the way.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just gonna agree with you on 100% on everything because CM Punk, love him or you hate him, he was the man. I mean, he can give you a good show. He was, in the ring, there wasn't too many people that could match him.
Well,
And
Punk would go on to have a rematch at the next pay per view at Elimination Chamber with The Rock, which he would also lose. Now,
yep,
in my opinion, then, and I still stand by it now,
yep,
they should have found a way to make a three-way match at WrestleMania with Punk, Rock, and Cena.
yeah,
It would have been a more entertaining match. Punk would have got what he wanted, which is the main event at WrestleMania,
mm-hmm.
and Punk could have kept the belt.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
So you would have made everybody happy with
I,
that.
I mean, they've done things like that before. Why couldn't they have done it for Punk?
Right. I was sick of Punk or Rock and Cena anyway. And I
Exactly.
think now, granted, we wouldn't have gotten Punk and Taker, but I still think that's the way they should have went with it, and they didn't. But
Exactly. I mean, they could have still done something with Punk and Taker later on. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
There's no question about that. But for WrestleMania, they could have definitely done it where it was Punk, Cena, and The Rock. I mean, with the three different styles clashing, it would have been a more interesting, a better match, and everybody would have left home happy.
Yeah, and Cena and Punk already had a feud going on. It would have continued that feud.
Exactly. Yes.
It would have been great on all levels, like I said.
Oh
But
yeah.
we are going on to 2014, and we are back in Philadelphia. No, we are in
Pittsburgh.
Philadelphia for 15.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, 15 would be
Philadelphia.
15 would be Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Yeah. 15 would be Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and for 2014 is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so they were in Pennsylvania for both. Okay, that's why I'm getting
Yeah.
confused. Commentary team: Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler, and JBL. Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt opened the show with a great match. Uh, People were expecting. I don't know why it was never announced,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody was expecting Daniel Bryan to be in the Royal Rumble,
Mm-hmm.
including McFoley, who said that if Daniel Bryan doesn't win the Royal Rumble, he was going to smash his TV.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that Daniel Bryan wasn't in the Rumble, Foley did just that. He smashed his TV on camera and posted it. He actually took his TV outside and he smashed it with rocks and hammers and everything else he could.
I
But
saw I saw it on Twitter.
it was like, what the heck? But anyway,
Yeah.
this would turn out to be CM Punk's last WWE appearance, and to this day, it is currently still that way. His last match, his last appearance, all of it.
Well,
He would appear
unless you
on
call unless you
backstage.
unless you consider that show that he was on, he's on Fox, talking
Yeah,
smack or whatever.
WWE backstage.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But that's
no, I
part.
don't consider that.
Because officially he's with Fox, not with
Everybody thought
WWE.
for sure he was coming back at that show in Chicago,
Yeah.
and then they screwed the audience by playing his music. The Chicago crowd went nuts,
Yep.
and out came Paul Heyman.
Yeah. But
And
no,
then
but that was good
Stephanie
though.
even was like, he doesn't care about or he would have been
Yeah, right.
here.
It was too perfect. It was
But
too perfect.
anyway, so CM Punk is number 1,
Yep.
and Seth Rollins number 2. Kofi, by the way, this year it's getting even dumber. Rusev makes his debut in this Rumble as Alexander Rusev as part of NXT. Kofi gets knocked to the outside, but on Rusev.
Mm-hmm.
Rusev goes for a power slam and slams Kofi on the guardrail, but makes sure that he's on there enough where he's not going to fall off.
Mm-hmm.
How nice of you, Rusev.
Yeah.
So then Kofi is there and he leaps from the guardrail to the ring and he's back in. He's running out of ideas already and he only just started doing this.
Yep.
We get another little person. We said Hornswoggle was the first who was in there twice. But now El Torito becomes the second little person into the Royal Rumble. And he was eliminated by Roman Reigns. Roman, by the way, would break the record, Kane's record for eliminating most men. But in my opinion, he didn't eliminate 12. He eliminated 11 and a half. JBL enters this Rumble as a commentator. He's the commentator, and he gets in, and he gets clotheslined out within seconds by Roman. Like, hey, JBL, you know you were in the ring? I wasn't in there. What are you talking about? Rey Mysterio draws number 30, and the fans are outraged that it's not Daniel Bryan. I don't care who came out at number 30. You could have had a Playboy Playmate walk out naked, and they would have booed.
Oh, yeah,
definitely. If that was not Daniel Bryan, they were going to freaking riot. And they Mysterio felt so bad because he had just returned from injury. He thought he was going to get this loud babyface pop, and he gets booed out of the building.
Right.
At this point, the crowd is just, they know who's going to win, and they don't want Batista to win. So they actually start cheering for Reigns. This would be why Vince would eventually go with Reigns just later this year because of that. Batista had number 28 and won the match. Second time, by the way, that he won the match, and the second time he drew number 28 to win the match. He won both Rumbles that he won. He won with number 28. So that's his lucky number. And it was my lucky number, as that was my number in the pool that year.
Nice.
So I won the pool. Yep. Thanks to Batista. Or Blue-tista. Moving on to 2015. Now we're in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Cole, Lawler, and JBL once again on commentary. We've got two matches here to talk about. But before that, we're going to say this. I did not get this pay-per-view because I just did not care. And I didn't like this pay-per-view either. I would eventually record this pay-per-view because the next night, Monday Night Raw, was live from Hartford, Connecticut at the Hartford Civic Center, and a blizzard was said to come in. We didn't actually get the blizzard. We only got a few inches of snow, but the governor, he put a ban on driving, so they had to cancel Monday Night Raw.
I had tickets.
And they went live from WWE headquarters in Stamford. And not knowing what to do, they had a bunch of the guys show up and do promos, which was awesome to set up for Mania. And they decided to air the two matches we're going to talk about here from this Rumble on TV. Now, the Rumble match was one of them, but they did edit a few things out, including Titus O'Neil's botched quick elimination and a couple of the other eliminations and all, and a couple of the entrances. So they did cut a few things. But other than that, they had the whole show. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna record this, and this is gonna be what I have.
Yeah. I'll tell you. I'll tell you this real quick. Okay, I had tickets to that Raw, and when the governor, when he canceled and whatever, I was upset and all that. And then, that's when we heard that people who had tickets to that Raw can go to SmackDown at actually it's the XL Center now, but So I actually ended up selling my tickets to somebody because I was so ticked off at the situation that I didn't care about, the fact that I could still go to SmackDown. So I just ended up selling my tickets to somebody. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But Brock Lesnar, he is going to have this great match with John Cena and Seth Rollins. Rollins is currently the Money in the Bank holder, but yeah, he's getting another title shot besides that one. What a match this is. Cena and Rollins take Lesnar out early on through the announce table and all, and brutally, I may add, to the point where Lesnar, it's questionable if he's even going to get back in this match. It's basically a one-on-one now between Cena and Rollins. And then Lesnar comes back in, and man, what a match these guys had. And eventually, yeah, Brock Lesnar wins the match, but tremendous match. in my opinion, it's the second best WWE title match ever.
Mm-hmm.
The first, like I said, also took place at a Royal Rumble at Royal Rumble 2000 with Cactus Jack and Triple H. So, yeah, this one was definitely really good. And then, of course, the Rumble match, we've got Miz number 1, R-Truth number 2, Bubba Ray Dudley number 3. And the crowd goes crazy for this. But all through it, they just keep chanting, "We want Devon." Because nobody likes Bubba. Bubba and R-Truth hit a 3D because there's no Devon, and they also hit the What's Up. That's basically the only big surprise in this match. And then Boogeyman was a surprise, but who cares? And then DDP was a surprise as well. The crowd was pretty out of it for that, though. And Dolph Ziggler, again, draws number 30. He's always getting number 1 or number 30, that guy. And yet he never won a Rumble.
And I doubt he ever will.
Well, I won't say never, but yeah, probably not. And of course, Roman Reigns wins with 19. As soon as Daniel Bryan got eliminated from this Rumble, they lost the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion, they should have let Bryan last all the way to the end, because that would have at least kept the audience into the match. They ruined this whole match. And again, this is why I say it's a terrible match. The crowd is what made this a terrible match. The match itself would have been better if the crowd had just shut up with their stupid freaking... Everybody thinks they're a booker these days. And it drives me crazy.
Yep.
Just shut up and see where they're going with it.
Exactly. Enjoy the match.
Stop saying, "Oh, this should have happened. This should have happened."
Exactly.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Wasn't this also the same year where when The Rock came out to congratulate Roman Reigns, and then he kind of
came out to help Roman, because everybody was ganging up on him, and the crowd was even turning on Rock.
Yeah, and they said that you should, and the look on his face, kind of like, what the F, it was
what can I do? Even I can't even save this.
Exactly.
But yeah, the crowd was just they were gone. They even at one point actually started cheering for Rusev.
Yeah, I remember that.
Rusev was like, "I'm over." No, you're not. You're just not Roman.
Exactly.
But again, it's funny because the year before this, they did this to Batista. They turned on Batista, and they were all Roman. Exactly. Now they're getting Roman, and they don't want him.
Well, I think
the other thing that happened in this.
And I was just gonna say, I think in general this is when the crowd, like you said, the crowd really started thinking that they're a better booker type of thing, and they started trying to take over the show. And this,
and I hate that. Yeah. I hate them hijacking the shows.
It's like, just shut up, enjoy the show, go with it, And in the end, if you like who wins, okay, good. If you don't, okay, good. But don't hijack the show. When you hijack the whole show, you're not doing anybody any favors. It's just enjoy the show. Shut up.
Exactly. Adam Rose came out with his rosebuds, and Kofi gets thrown over the top and lands on the rosebuds, who body surf him back into the ring. The rosebuds are walking away, and as they're walking away, Adam Rose gets thrown over the top, and they don't even catch him. And JBL even says, "What the heck? Fire all of them. They'll catch Kofi, but not their own guy." Yeah. So yeah, Kofi once again had a good one. I'll give him this one. And that's pretty much it for 2015.
I'm good.
All right, moving on to 2016. This one should be really short because this was another horrible one. This is becoming a trend here. The Royal Rumbles are sucking. Corey Graves, Michael Cole, JBL, and Byron Saxton are our commentators on this night. The title is on the line in this Rumble. It's not the normal prize because the champion has to defend the title in this Rumble. And it's Roman Reigns, who's number 1. They gave him one and told him you have to last all the other guys. Roman gets beat up and he leaves early on. Again, This should be automatic elimination. We should have a new champion.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, they let him come back when there's like 10 minutes left in the match.
Mm-hmm.
Really aggravating. Number 2, of course, was Rusev, who got cheered the year previously. Number 3, here's the big deal now. The debut of AJ Styles. Here's my problem. There's a view they just put out, WWE Untold, by the way, the AJ Styles debut. I don't know if you've seen this yet.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this yet?
No, I haven't.
It came out Sunday on the network. I highly recommend this to everybody. It's really good.
Okay.
Kevin Dunn is a moron.
What else
He
is new?
felt the live,
I said, what else is new?
He felt the live reaction of Roman Reigns is where the camera should have been showing at home when AJ came out. And so that's what we saw at home.
Oh,
we saw a close-up of Roman Reigns in the ring reacting. The live crowd got to see the screen,
mm-hmm.
which came up saying, "I am phenomenal." And as soon as it did, they went nuts. So we could hear the crowd going nuts, but we didn't know why. We didn't know who this was until we got close enough where we could see him.
Yeah. It wasn't.
So it was very aggravating.
Yeah, it wasn't until like the very last second when, they show him. They show him with his back turned to the camera, and then he turns around.
Yeah, because on the WWE Untold, they showed a version that we should have seen.
Yeah.
Where we see the entrance say, I am, and then phenomenal appears, and that's where the crowd goes nuts. So that's what we should have saw.
Oh, I agree.
But Kevin Dunn, moron. I'm done with him. And then Triple H has number 30, and he wins the Rumble. Oh, God. And the world title.
I wonder if this was best for business or if it was because he is Vince McMahon's son-in-law.
I don't know, man.
I'll go with the latter. I think it was because he's McMahon's son-in-law.
I would hope so. All right, so moving on to the 30th annual Royal Rumble 2017. Mm-hmm. Sadly, this is the last Rumble my brother got to watch. So this is insanity, okay? Our commentary team tonight: Michael Cole, Corey Graves, Todd Phillips, Jerry Lawler, Byron Saxton, Mauro Ranallo, David Otunga, JBL, and Austin Aries for one match.
Wow.
Got enough commentators?
I don't know. I don't know. You want to include the Spanish announce team?
Oh, man. So John Cena versus AJ Styles. What a match. Not as good as their SummerSlam encounter the year previously, but what a match these two had. And think about this. AJ Styles made his debut at the 2016 Royal Rumble. And now, 2017 Royal Rumble, he's the world champion defending the title. How crazy is that?
Very.
So that's a great match, as I said. Royal Rumble match. Big Cass is number 1. I literally, not even kidding, I forgot this guy existed until I just rewatched this.
Well, I finished listening to an interview with Enzo, and he was telling me some things about Big Cass, and it was like, I totally forgot about Big Cass until Enzo mentioned him, and I forgot him again until you mentioned him just now. So
yeah, I remember Enzo, but I can't. Cass was just Cass. He was nothing.
Yeah.
But how you doing? So Cass is number 1, Jericho number 2. Now here's my biggest problem with this Royal Rumble. How many surprises were in this Rumble? 0. Not one person was a surprise in this Royal Rumble. That's a problem for me because one of the exciting things is not knowing who's coming.
I mean,
You know?
Even James Ellsworth was not a surprise.
No, because he was booked already for it. But
Mm-hmm.
Randy Orton gets number 23 and wins his second Rumble. Anything to add to this one?
No, because there was nothing to add.
All right, let's move on.
I mean,
2018.
here's the thing: unless you include the Undertaker as a surprise, you know what I mean? Because
No,
you know,
I do not.
yeah. Then to be honest, no,
And
nothing
the
to
whole
add.
thing with Goldberg was
Yeah,
horrible too.
exactly.
So
So it's I got nothing.
2018. We have Michael Cole, Corey Graves, Todd Phillips, Booker T, Jerry Lawler, Byron Saxton, and on the women's Rumble, we have Steph McMahon added on commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the men's Royal Rumble match. Rusev number 1, Finn Balor number 2. There is one surprise in this match only, and it's the Hurricane, and it's funny. But then they badmouth the guy, and I thought, oh, that's kind of messed up. But then
I gotta say something really quick, right? I gotta say something real quick. Like last year, like the year before, it was your brother's last Royal Rumble to watch. It was also my grandfather's last Royal Rumble. So this for me, this Royal Rumble here, it was very hard for me to watch because I didn't have him with me. And
same with me, man. And
yeah,
my brother had always wanted a women's Royal Rumble
yeah,
match, and now
exactly.
it's happening, and he never got to see it.
Exactly. It was the same thing with my grandfather. It was just one of those like he would have been very excited. And it was funny because with the winner of this Royal Rumble, he was a big fan for the men's Royal Rumble. He was a big fan of this winner, and it was really hard watching it. And then he wins it, and my grandfather's not there with me, cheering with me. It was it was really hard. But anyway,
Yeah, I was pretty much in the same boat. But Kofi Kingston
mm-hmm.
gets thrown over the top, lands on the shoulders of Big E, and they put him back in.
Yep.
And then he gets thrown out.
Yep.
And bro, how does this not count as an elimination?
I don't know.
Both feet's not touching the floor. Look, he's standing on a pancake.
I know.
Which he stepped on himself. There was no need for it.
Yeah.
He's standing on a pancake, so he's not eliminated.
Because apparently the pancake is not part of the
You
floor
know,
or something. It's like
we needed a mesh up. We needed Rock to come out and say, pancake your way out of here.
yeah, something. Oh my god! It made okay when he landed on Big E. Okay, fine. I could have accepted that, but then with the pancake spot, that was even too stupid for me. I was
Yeah, this was where it was like, okay, it's dead.
yeah,
Please don't ever do anything again with this stupid thing.
exactly.
It's gone. And we're gonna get to in a minute what else was wrong. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so Nakamura gets number 14 and he wins the match.
Mm-hmm.
Good match.
Oh, I agree.
But to me, it was topped by the main event.
Yep.
The women's Rumble match.
Oh yeah.
Sasha Banks number 1, Becky Lynch number 2. We've got Lita, Trish Stratus, Jacqueline, Molly Holly, and many other surprises in this match.
Vicky Guerrero.
Why though? I was getting that next.
Okay.
Why do we have Vicky Guerrero?
Yep.
The only thing that would have saved that is if she screamed "excuse me" in somebody's face, and it was enough to give the momentum to send them flying over the top.
Right. That would have been like a really funny comedy spot for that.
Instead, they all lift her up and dump her out, and it looked horrible. And please don't work any more matches.
Well, she's in AEW now, so I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Sasha Banks, yeah, when she's there with Nyla Rose, who, by the way, just started at OnlyFans. And I'll talk to you about that after the show because
yeah,
there's some pretty crazy stuff that being offered. But anyway,
Yeah.
Sasha Banks was very lazy in this match. She kept getting knocked to the outside and just laying out there all night long, and it just lasts to the end, and they make it sound like a big deal. But Beth Phoenix becomes the first woman to ever be in both the men's and a women's Rumble match. And then Trish Stratus draws number 30, and Asuka wins the match with number 25. But before they can all celebrate, she says that she's going to decide her winner. She doesn't get to celebrate. They take away her celebration to have Ronda Rousey come out and make her debut.
All to just point at the WrestleMania sign.
Yes, point at the WrestleMania sign and look at Charlotte. Which she didn't even wrestle Charlotte. Not at that WrestleMania anyway.
Yeah.
She would wrestle Stephanie. But
it was funny because Jim Cornette, he actually made a comment on this. And I agree with him, is that, okay, if this is supposed to be the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, let the winner celebrate. Let the winner have her moment, you know? They could have brought Ronda Rousey on Raw. You know, they could have brought Ronda Rousey on Raw to make her debut and what have you. But no, they had to ruin the Royal Rumble by having Ronda Rousey come out just to point at the damn sign.
Yeah, it was stupid.
I was disappointed. That's all I gotta say.
I remember the memes. They were great. Like, oh my God, Ronda Rousey, you're here? Yep, I'm going out there tonight. Oh my God, are you going to attack somebody? Are you going to challenge somebody? Nope, I'm going to point to that freaking sign. It was so funny.
Oh my God. But yeah.
And then they were like, so Ronda Rousey goes out to the ring and she had a big plan, but then she saw the sign and it opened up her eyes. She saw that sign. Those were great, man. I wish I could go back in time to those.
Oh man.
But anyway, we're moving on to 2019. Michael Cole, Corey Graves, Todd Phillips, Renee Young, Jerry Lawler, Byron Saxton, JBL, and Beth Phoenix on commentary. What the heck, man? I'm losing my voice on the freaking commentary. Becky Lynch versus Asuka, and Becky loses. Not a good match, but important that happened. Women's Royal Rumble match. Lacey Evans, number 1. Natalya, number 2. Casey, I cannot pronounce her last name, but she's from American Ninja Warrior. She comes in. Now, my brother loved American Ninja Warrior. He watched it all the time, and this girl, Casey, was one of his favorites. He would talk about her all the time. He never got to see her come to WWE. He never even knew that she came to WWE because it was after he was gone. She has this amazing spot that just is like, okay, and I even wrote, Kofi, eat your heart out. She gets thrown over the top, doesn't land on her feet. Then she handstands her way over to the ring post, locks her legs around the ring post, does a complete sit-up, grabs the top of the ring post, and swings like Tarzan back into the ring. Eat your heart out, Kofi. So that was great.
They passed the torch over to her.
But here's the thing. Later in that match, and I actually forgot to mention it too the year previously, Naomi is copying all of Kofi's old spots.
Yeah, that's
She did the handstand. She did the chair here, where she hopped with her chair. And I'm like, you're just a poser. She's expecting it pops. It's like, no, you're just rehashing Kofi's stuff. You're not even original.
Exactly.
And there was an original one a few years earlier, but it was it was in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, where Kofi got thrown over the top rope, like over the ring post, and landed on top of a bunch of guys that were eliminated, and he climbed back in the ring. But unfortunately, it wasn't a Royal Rumble, so nobody remembers it. But yeah, so then Lana comes out and she's injured, and Becky Lynch comes out and takes her spot and gets in the match. So Becky, who lost earlier, now is going to be in the Rumble. And Nia Jax comes out at number 29, Carmella at number 30, And now Nia Jackson's just complaining that, oh, Becky Lynch shouldn't be in here. She didn't earn her right.
Mm-hmm.
And so Nia Jax gets eliminated promptly.
Mm-hmm.
And then Becky ends up winning the match. She gets insane ovations here. Everybody goes crazy for her.
Mm-hmm.
And we got two records set here that are currently still the records for women's Rumble matches. We'll see if they get broken or not.
Mm-hmm.
The shortest time in a Rumble match for women, again, Liv Morgan, 8 seconds. And Natalia sets the record for longest time in a women's Rumble match, 56 minutes.
Oh.
These are currently still the records. And then after this women's match, we go to AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan in a great match for the title.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to the men's Rumble match. Elias number 1, Jeff Jarrett number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise entrant. And then number 30 is scheduled to be R-Truth, but he gets attacked by Nia Jax, who takes his spot. Nia Jax is now the first woman to ever enter both the men's and women's match in the same night.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rollins wins at number 10. Anything to add?
Nope. You're good.
All right. One left. 2020. Corey Graves, Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler, Todd Phillips, and Booker T on commentary. The women's Rumble match. Alexa Bliss number 1, Bianca Belair number 2, Molly Holly, Beth Phoenix, and Santina Marella.
Yeah.
Are the surprises in this.
Yeah.
Santino is now the only man to ever enter both the men's and women's Rumbles. If you're gonna make Santina in there
mm-hmm.
and turn this whole thing into a joke,
mm-hmm.
just go change your name from wrestling to what you are, garbage.
Yeah. And here's where we're gonna get kind of sketchy, okay? Because now we're gonna get a bunch of people talking, saying that we're transphobic. Because no, we're not talking about a transgendered woman. We're talking about a man, an actual man who lives as a man, dressing up as a woman to fool audience entering the women's Royal Rumble. Okay? At this point, WWE has lost ideas, and they turned this into a freaking joke.
Well, Vince thinks that it's funny, but
well, Vince, he's wrong on many things. So, and I'll say it.
So Shayna Baszler enters at number 30, and instantly she ties the record for most eliminations in a women's match, which was set earlier in the night by Bianca Belair.
Mm-hmm.
But Shayna again comes out at 30 and ties that record. How crazy is that? And then of course, Charlotte ends up winning the match at number 17. She should not have been the winner. The winner should have been Shayna Baszler. But
I agree.
And then the men's Royal Rumble match. Here's where we're gonna get good.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar number 1, Elias number 2. Brock Lesnar dominates the entire match, eliminating everybody until Ricochet comes out. And then Drew McIntyre comes in at 16. Ricochet delivers the low blow to Brock Lesnar. And then Drew McIntyre hits the Claymore, sending Lesnar over the top and takes him out.
And that was a big
and at that
pop.
point,
that was a big, huge
oh
pop.
Man, they went nuts. Yeah. It's crazy to think about, by the way. Mm-hmm. Just 1 year ago for this, we had people. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. 1 year.
1 year. But I tell you, when Drew, I mean, how can I say this? For Brock Lesnar to basically give Drew McIntyre the push by letting him eliminate him just with the Claymore. that really skyrocketed Drew McIntyre's career from that point on.
Oh, absolutely.
It was just like, and I was and I was and I was a fan of Drew McIntyre even when he was a 3MB and whatever. But the turnaround from being in 3MB to what he is now is just like, wow. You can't help but just be a fan, just be drawn to this guy. It was just last year's Royal Rumble. It was just the push that he needed, that he really needed to finally be able to shine and be the star that he is. I don't, what do you think?
I think this week, I don't know if you hear that, but I think this week I got the dogs in the background.
Yeah, I heard that.
It's not in my house though.
Okay. Yeah.
Dog's going crazy down there.
Yeah. I think the dog agrees with me.
Anyway,
uh,
so MVP is a surprise in this Rumble, and he's eliminated promptly.
mhm,
Brock Lesnar just dominates this match. Like I said, it's absolutely insane, and a lot of people complain about it. And to those people, I say, fudge ya, because this was the right move. First of all, it's something different,
mhm,
which the Royal Rumble is lacking different things,
mhm,
needs some originality. But also, this was just the right move on every level.
mhm,
It made Brock to be this dominant guy, and it helped Drew by having that happen. That Drew's the guy to get rid of him.
mhm.
And then Edge returns, and now there's where the problem lies. I did not want Edge to return. Edge looked terrible, in my opinion. Just go away, Edge. But then number 30 is Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre wins the match.
Now, when Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins entered, even when Randy Orton entered, it was like, for me, it was kind of like, one of these guys are gonna win it. There's no way anybody else. Even because they've done it in the past where like they give somebody a push, and then they take it away from them right in the same match. And you know, uh, the fact that he won the match, the fact that he won the Royal Rumble match, considering the history that WWE has with Royal Rumbles, I was ecstatic. I was ecstatic. I was happy. I was like, finally something different. Not the same old
Yeah, and like I
BS.
said, it's crazy because just 1 year ago, and yet we had a whole crowd of people there,
Mm-hmm.
and now we are not. A year later,
Yeah. Yeah. No. This whole
and man, I
COVID.
wish that WrestleMania had the people for his win.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, unfortunately, because of the whole COVID situation, a lot of things have changed, and wrestling's not the same, bro. Wrestling's just not the same.
Nothing's the same, but
Yeah.
so let's move on to lists.
All right.
All right, so the top five best Rumble pay-per-views,
Mm-hmm.
meaning the overall show, all of the matches combined, just the best show to watch. In my opinion, number five. Should I go 5-1 or 1-5? What do you think?
Go 5-1.
All right, number five. I'm gonna go with 2018. Uh, First women's Rumble match. Just everything top to bottom. This was just an entertaining show, and I really needed it because coming off my brother passing at the end of 2017, right before New Year's, I needed this show to really bring me up a little bit and give me some enjoyment in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to go with 2018. And again, all of these are just my opinions, by the way, these top fives. Um, Number four, 1992. The Rumble match, everybody's going to hate me on that. I said that last week, but I'm not a huge fan of that Rumble match because Bobby Heenan ruined it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the overall show with the Rumble match, Piper winning the Intercontinental title, the Orient Express versus the New Foundation, this was just a good show. So 92 would be number four. Number three, I'm going with 1989 because just everything from the superpose down to the six-man tag match to the Rumble match. This was a fun show. All the backstage antics.
Mm-hmm.
Good show, very entertaining. 1989. Number two, 1991. All the matches that were on there, Warrior and Slaughter, the Rhodes versus DiBiase and Virgil finally turning, the Rumble match itself, just all this stuff, all these elements made 91 a really good show. And of course, number one on this list for the best pay per view of of Royal Rumble has to be the year 2000
Mm-hmm.
with everything from the Dudleys versus the Hardys, which we talked about the other day on last week's podcast. That match was phenomenal. Everything except for the Mae Young spot, like we talked about last week.
Yeah.
So that would be my top five best Rumble pay per views.
Cool. Hey.
The top five worst Rumble pay per views. Number
Nice.
5, 2009. We just went over that about Randy Orton. It was his night, but overall, the whole show was just terrible, including the Rumble. It wasn't that good. Number 4, 1996. They had a lack of a roster, and it showed. They just did not have anything really good happening on that show. Shawn Michaels winning again was just stupid. Just overall, I hate 96.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, same reasons. 1997, lack of the roster. It really hurt them throughout this. Everybody talks about the Attitude Era, and yeah, all these late 90s shows are ending up on this list for me. But number 2, 1999. Again, we mentioned last week about how, they never had that many guys in the ring at one time. There was times where there were nobody in the ring. We had the cringy Mankind and the Rock match. Just, this was not a good show. And of course, I think you can take a wild guess what I put as number 1.
Which one's number 1?
1995.
Mm.
Like we said last week, the
Yeah.
horrible Rumble match, which only lasted 38 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not.
And just the undercard, it's just not good. Everything's bad on that show.
Yeah, I think
Top 5.
Yeah.
Let's start with the worst this time.
Yep.
The top 5 worst Royal Rumble matches.
Mm-hmm.
This is just Rumble matches. Number 5, 2007. Like I said, this one, it's on here because of that ending with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker lasting way too long, and just all the ECW guys and all the jokes that they were treated like. Just overall, that match, not that good. Number 4, 1996. Again, not any kind of real talent in there. Shawn Michaels winning after being eliminated by Vader. In my opinion, he should have been eliminated. Just everything about 2006 was not good. Number 3, again, we just talked about this one too. 2015, the Roman Reigns show, Philadelphia. It's just not a good show, except for the one thing on the pay per view, which is why it didn't make worse pay per views. But the overall match was not good. Number 2, 1999. Again, we put the worst show at number 2, and I put the worst match at number 2 because this match was terrible. Like I just got done going over. And number 1, also a match to the worst pay per view, 1995. See the trend there?
Yeah, definitely.
By the way, number 6 on both, number 4 on both those lists, the worst pay per view and the worst match was also 96. By the way,
right.
But yeah, now 95, horrible Rumble, 38 minutes.
Yeah,
what a joke. The best Rumble matches. And again, I know I'm going to get lynched that 1992 did not make this list. If I had to make a 6th guy, though, I would say 1992 would make 6. I will say that. But number 5, 2010. I just love this Rumble. Like I said, Edge's return, the surprise element there. It's a really good show. That's number 5. Number 4, 2005, We talked about it last week. All the great spots that's in that match, the seriousness of that match, of guys leaping off the top rope and just doing all this crazy stuff. The battle between Raw and SmackDown, just the Muhammad Hassan spot. There's so many great. The Simon Dean spot. There's so many great spots in that Rumble. It's so much fun. And then the ending with Cena and Batista is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And who didn't love watching Vince tear quads? Number 3, 2008. Again, we just went over this one too about how John Cena's surprise return, Piper and Snuka in there, the Shelton Benjamin stuff, just a great Rumble. Mm-hmm. Number 2, we just went over as well, the women's 2018 Rumble, the first women's Rumble. Just overall great match there, as we talked about, even though it was tainted by Ronda Rousey coming out. Mm-hmm. And then number 1 I mentioned last week is 1991. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I love the spots with everybody coming in. I love Rick Martel lasting as long as he did. This was just overall a great show. Yep. So those are my lists. Anything to add to them?
Nope. I actually agree with you on that. I agree with you.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for the Rumble discussion then, unless you had something to add to that.
No, I really have nothing to add. It's just I think altogether, you know, all the Rumbles, you know, they're all quite unique. They're different. Some of them we wish they were better, and when they weren't, and but hopefully, you know, with everything that's going on, really, with everything that's going on today. I can only hope that this year's Royal Rumble, they do something spectacular, something special to really make it different, because we definitely need it. We definitely need it to, you know, just to at least escape from reality for a bit. You know what I mean?
And I do have an idea for a surprise entrant in that Rumble, but I'll tell you off the air.
All right.
Anyway, next week we've promised it, and it will be here. We are going to discuss Cobra Kai, the entire podcast. There will be spoilers. Be warned that if you have not watched seasons 1, season 2, and season 3 in their entirety, wait to listen next week to next week's podcast, because we will be giving away spoilers on it. But it's going to be a fun show. We're going to discuss all the elements of all 3 seasons and some of our predictions and hopes for season 4 and onward. With that being said, if you've got nothing to add, all right. So thank you for joining us this week on the podcast, and we will see you. Well, you will hear us next week for the Cobra Kai show, because Cobra Kai never dies. Check us out next week to see what's going down.